to all our learners. Welcome to the lecture on Global Economy and International Relations, Trends and Issues. Dear learners, in the lecture we shall try to look at what are the important aspects that are involved with respect to international trade and finance that have a huge bearing on global economy as well as international relations. In the lecture, we shall look at major contemporary issues facing the global economy, take into account important research as well as important contemporary reports that have a bearing with respect to global economy and international relations. The global economy has a very important aspect which needs to be taken into account for international relations, because today global economic developments have a huge bearing for respective domestic developments also. The global economy signifies the web of interconnected worldwide economic activities that take place between and amongst the several nation states. When we try to understand global economy, we have to see that how there are various aspects within global economy which have indeed ensured that within there is an aspect of greater convergence of economies. Globalization as a process of integration of markets, rise of global trade apparatus of finance and trade has presented a picture wherein today economic realms have become an important arena with respect to respective national interests of states as well as for the power struggle, which is the key idea of international relations. What one has to take into account that in the post-Cold War era, with the dissolution of the Soviet Union, with the rise of neoliberal driven globalization, the processes of economy have also diversified, and at the same time in the post-Cold War era, there are new aspects, discussion going on with reference to technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, transition from primary to secondary to tertiary sectors. What is essential to be also factored in here is that when we try to understand the global processes have both material as well as the physical aspect, the immaterial, that is the financial aspect. And in all these aspects, today there is presence of international institutions to guide and regulate the global economy. The dynamics of processes, the decision making, the issues catered to by respective international organizations that cater to global trade and financial apparatus have a bearing on the power struggle at the international relations. The IMF and the World Bank, they were established as a part of the Bretton Woods Conference. They try to work on management of global economic apparatus, namely the World Bank groups tries to work in areas like reduction of poverty, factoring shared prosperity, while the IMF serves to stabilize the international monetary system. They both have different aims, but yet they have a remarkable degree of similarity when we try to look at that how they work in management of global trade as well as in management of global financial apparatus. It is when it is taken into account. The World Trade Organization, which is a multilateral organization headquartered in Geneva, it tries to facilitate global trade. It is an intergovernmental organization that manages trade negotiation, handles trade disputes, monitors national trade policies. Today, with the apparatus of the IMF, the World Bank, the WTO, one also finds here is that when we look into account the working of the 1947 GATT treaty, that how the agenda of trade negotiations that were there also diversified from Geneva round in 1947 to the Kennedy round in 1964 to the Tokyo round in 1973-79 or to the final Uruguay round in 1986 to 94. Amidst all this, what is the important concern here is that nation states try to factor in their national interest through their association with these international economic institutions that are playing a very important role in management of global economic and trade governance. What is essential to be seen here is that today The structure and the working of the IMF, World Bank and WTO has a bearing on issues of transparency, issues of democratic deficit, management of disputes, which are important aspects to be factored in while taking into account the working of global economy. An important work that we take into account is by Thomas D. Lairson, David Skidmore, as we take our learning forward, that is International Political Economy, the struggle for power and wealth in a globalizing world. The book aptly points out that how there has been rethinking of the entire ambit of international political economy, because the context here is that it's an era of growing yet uneven globalization. No doubt the scale and the speed of interactions between and amongst nations have increased. However, at the same time, one cannot ignore the uneven nature of the impact of globalization. Even as global integration advances, we have to take into account that the argument that the book also presents, that the states play an important role as partners with the largest global firms, as catalysts of competitiveness and economic growth, as creators of global institutions, and in promoting and responding to global interdependence. Further, the important input that we get from this work here is that new issues and actors, somewhere they complicate, they are adding more rather to the global agenda, because we have to focus into account that the global economic agenda is just not about markets only. The global economic agenda has an interface with ecology, environment, global health, food security. Further, one has to see, as the book points out, that significance of globalization, the sources, the consequences of global financial instability, global inequality, which also have a bearing on not only power dynamics but also domestic issues of respective nation states. Further, as we try to delve into our discussion on global economy and international relations, an important work that we take reference to is by John M. Hobson and Leonard C. Brock, that is Everyday Politics of World Economy, Cambridge University Press. The book makes some important presents some important insights, namely, how do our everyday actions shape and transform the global economy? Because when we are saying that we are living in an era where global is connected to local, and what is local is connected to what is global. So in this regard, it is essential to be seen that how small scale actors, their decisions, example, the working of the trade unions, the female migrant laborers, the diasporas, how are they having an important influence in transforming the political and economic environment. As we take our discussion forward, and as we point out that how the global economy is never static, this is what is there with globalization also, that as a process driven by neoliberalism, driven by capitalism, the global economic apparatus also has witnessed ups and downs. This important work, namely Global Interdependence, Decoupling and Recoupling, from MIT Press 2013, it presents to us significant insights for this discussion at hand. Namely, the decoupling implies between developed and developing countries, and this can be seen in the strong economic performance of, say, India relative to that of United States and Europe in the early 2000s. The recoupling then takes place as developing countries sank along the developed world, as we saw during the deepening of the financial crisis of 2008. And this book examines patterns of global economic interdependence and propagation of shocks also in an increasingly integrated world economy. And this aspects of vagaries of the global economic scenario, as well as the vagaries of that accompanies with volatility, instability, that are also there with interdependence, must be taken into account in order to add more to our understanding of global economy and international relations. Dear learners, we all know that as interdependence has indeed redefined international economic relations, this interdependence has become a form of power currency also. An important work by Daniel W. Drenzer, Henry Fairwall, Abraham Newman, that is, The Uses and Abuses of Weaponized Interdependence from Brookings Institution Press. The book highlights some very important concerns, namely that few countries shall use their position in globalized network and globalized scenario to gain advantage, undue influence over other societies through their dominance of new currencies of power like information, technology, financial networks, a concept that has been coined by this work as weaponized interdependence. This work explored the conditions under which, say, Russia, United States might be expected to weaponize the control of information and manipulate global economy. So what do we have to bear into account? That today global economy has an important bearing with not only global economic processes but new forms of power dynamics, namely unilateral control of information, financial networks, and how sustainable is this use of weaponized interdependence, as this book points out. Dear learners, we all know that today global economy has indeed diversified. Now every country, while moving through this process of interdependence, also witnessed challenges as well as new opportunities. An important work in this regard is Global Linkages, Macroeconomic Interdependence and Cooperation in the World Economy by Warwick McLeban and Jeffrey D. Sachs, namely pointing out that there has been rapid deterioration. For example, if we take United States as a case study of US trade balance, say in 1980s, the United States, which was world's largest creditor country, to the world's largest debtor. So as the work points out, so the key macroeconomic features of 1980s, say an era if we take for case study, has been explained, say, by shifts in monetary and fiscal policies, global trade imbalances, the effect of targeting exchange rates, the gains of increasing coordination of macroeconomic policies among major economies. This points out that global linkages today indeed have various realms and layers attached to it. So any debate on the global economy and international relations must factor into account the degrees of variations also. Dear learners, as we know that today ecology is an important aspect with respect to economic development, not only at the domestic level but also at the international level. An important work by Terry Barker, Douglas Crawford, that is Decarbonizing the World Economy, Assessing the Feasibility of Policies to Reduce Greenhouse Gas Emission. So the book makes an important observation, that is, today there is a very tricky choice between tackling climate change, that is non-traditional security dimension whose threats cut across all borders, and having a strong economy. The book also examines potential pathways for decarbonization of the global economy. The models, which have been, if we go by the pages of the book, which have been worked at the Cambridge Center for Climate Change Mitigation Research to present cases, namely reduction of the risk of climate change, consistent with energy security, economic development in poor nations, vibrant economies in already developed nations. Further, as we take into account that how today green agenda has an important bearing, as well as at the same time sustainability, issues of circular economy have to be factored in respective national policies of respective nation states. An important work by Robert Pauley, that is Greening the Global Economy, points out that how International Panel on Climate Change estimates that greenhouse gas emission will need to fall, say, about 40% by 2030. In this regard, the book aptly argues that there are, attainable, the goal is attainable through steady, large-scale investments totaling about 1.5% of the global GDP on annual basis in both energy efficiency and clean renewable energy sources. These efforts will expand employment and drive economic growth also. What is essential for us to be seen that as we are taking this green agenda also into account, that today management of global economy cannot be a one-way affair. It exists in a context where energy efficiency and the need to have right employment and economic growth drive have an important bearing. Further, as we know that the dimensions of security are multidimensional. Gender is an important concern today. Equity, inclusiveness, diversity have an important bearing. An important work that is gender equality and economic diversification, this report from International Monetary Fund. The argument of the book, that is how gender inequality decreases the variety of goods countries produce and export, and in particular lower income and developing countries. The second aspect of the book here is that how gender friendly policies can help countries diversify their economies. Gender gaps in opportunities such as lower educational enrollment rates for girls, they harm diversification. Gender gaps in labor markets, they impede the development of new ideas. So as this very important work from IMF, namely gender equality and economic diversification, points out, we must take this aspect of the argument of the book that today inclusivity, diversity, equity, gender have a bearing on the labor workforce, on the opportunities, and this must be factored into account for a better comprehension, for better gains while for a nation during its interface with global economy. Further, as we all know that as gender equality as an agenda, it has an important link with sustainable development also. The work by Melissa Leax, that is Gender Equality and Sustainable Development from Routledge 2015, points out this very important aspect that investments and initiatives in sustainable developments that recognize women's knowledge, agency, decision making are indeed fundamental to guide aspects of growth. 4 key sets of issues are analyzed in this work, and we take reference to that, namely work and industrial production, population, food, agriculture, water, sanitation, energy. This provides the focal lens through which the challenges are considered. What is important for us to be seen here is that right from the ambit of food to population to agriculture to sanitation, today the agenda of global economy also has witnessed huge changes, and within these huge changes one has to take into account the comprehensive framework. Dear learners, as we are taking into account the new dynamics of global economy, one has to see that today technology has also indeed risen as an important power variable. An important work by David Ostrad, Eric Lehman and Albert N. Link, Alexander, that is Technology Transfer in a Global Economy, Springer Service and Business Media 2012. The technology transfer, as the book makes us explain, it is the process of sharing and disseminating knowledge, skills, discoveries, production methods, and this is one of the main challenges for societies operating, for government agencies, private firms in a global economy. The dynamics of technology transfer, as the book points out, emerging from the annual meeting of the Technology Transfer Society in 2011 in Germany, this book provides comprehensive understanding of how and why technology transfer is shaped, how it is affected by different institutional settings, and what are the implications for policy and business decision making. We must take this aspect into account, that today how technology is indeed one of the important variables that is guiding the world power, and within this technology there are issues of equity, digital divide, need to increase the bandwidth that must be taken into account. Further, today global economy is also existing within Another dynamic of world trade politics. The work by Klaus Dingwer, Clara Weinhardt, that is Language of World Trade Politics, unpacking the terms of trade. It reflects on that how the key concepts like trade to protectionism to issues of justice, one has to take into account that how and by whom the meanings of different terms which are used to describe world trade politics, how these have been constructed, and also that how the individual terms have changed over time. Dear learners, we must take into account that today the ambit and the paradigm of global economy and international relations also has diversified, and also within this diversification there are challenges. An important reference here to highlight this point is Global Challenges in Public Finance and International Relations. The work from IGI Global points out that although the concept of international goods has been established, but also at the same time one cannot ignore that public, the idea of what is international and what is public, there are new agendas, and these new agendas they call for new solutions. An example here, many taxation problems that have not been resolved, say at global level, many tax related problems like international pricing, taxation of virtual profits, taxation of electronic commerce are also being added, and nation states have to factor in them at the domestic as well as international agenda. As we take into account our discussions on global economy and international relations, let's take reference to the World Economic Situation and Prospects report, the report published by United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, and the United Nations Regional Economic Commissions. Now, this report points out that economic risks, they remain strong, and there is an increasing skepticism about benefits of multilateralism. Then also it points out that how there is rise in inward looking policies. Now, this rise in inward looking policies definitely is connected to the issues that are there with globalization, rise of deglobalization, rise of populism, issues with working of globalization. Further, the report, the World Economic Situation and Prospects 2020 points out that how investors underestimate the risk, say, of climate change and still are making short-sighted decisions to expand investment into carbon-intensive assets. Then it is also essential, as the report points out, to break the link between greenhouse gas emissions and economic activity. Therefore, working out new energy supply mix and the transition will require policies that steer nations towards carbon neutrality by 2050, and this we are quoting some very important reference from the remarks of the Secretary General of the United Nations during the release of the report. That is how there is a need for well balanced policy strategies that should maintain economic stability while broadening access to clean, affordable, reliable energy, and also to live in shared prosperity with the capacity of a planet to support us. One must move away from carbon and resource intensive industries, materials and value chains. Now, this issue of right energy mix, this issue of transition from one model of economic to another is indeed having a huge bearing on not only global economy but also for international relations. According to the World Economic Situation and Prospects, there's also an important point at how the pandemic COVID-19 it paralyzed the world. It's how the virus disrupted the working of the global economy, and the United Nations has also projected that global economy will contract supply in the fiscal year 2020 only with the gradual recovery of the lost output projected. Dear learners, we now take reference to the Global Competitive Report 2019. This is an yearly published report by the World Economic Forum. Now, this Global Competitive Index 4.0 is organized on 12 pillars, namely ICT, health, skills, product market, labor market, financial system, market size, amongst others. Now, this Global Competitive report points out that Singapore is the nation closest to the competitive frontier. Then United Nations ranks the highest amongst the large economy, and how the African economies, they are still lagging. What is essential, that how the important key takeaways of the Global Competitive Index 4.4 here is that ICT, adopting and promoting technology integration, is important. What is essential, that one has to, a lot of attempts have been made for rapid action to mitigate the worst of financial crisis, but a lot is still needed to boost productivity growth. While many advanced and emerging markets are emerging, the new technologies of fourth industrial revolution, finding a balance between technology integration, human capital investment and innovation ecosystem are critical to enhance productivity in the next decade. Then competitiveness is still the key to increase living standards. Sustained economic growth remains a critical pathway as a core driver of human development, and trade-off between economic, social and environment factors is also very essential to be factored in for a longer term approach to growth. Now, all these issues are having a bearing on global economic processes, as well as various new issues that have emerged with respect to the aspects and perspectives involved in international relations. To conclude, one also must look at the contemporary trends, that is, taking reference to this work by E.T. Bureau in December 2019, the Economic Times report, that is, today we are living in a world where no doubt which is interconnected, but this interconnected is contested, it is in flux. World is shrinking, but outcomes are different from previous year. Somewhere we are moving towards a new phase of globalization, that is, although goods are still traded in higher volume, services are also growing up. There has been Asia's ascent when we look at global governance scene, that trade with and within Asia is rising region's economic might. Then there is the project, say for example, Digital India, which is India's burgeoning digital population. It could make it as one of the world's largest, biggest consumer market. Automation's effect on gender at work, equity, digital divide must also be factored in. So, dear learners, what we find here is that today global economy, as we took reference to various research work, contemporary reports, today global economy has indeed diversified. This diversification and contested and complex nature of global economy has a bearing on the study and practice of international relations, which is linked to national interests of respective nation states also. We hope the lecture gave you significant insights on the topic. We look forward to positive, encouraging feedback from you all. Thank you very much.